Our next speaker is a Bahraini, a people who are also suffering from the intervention of the Saudi regime. I'd like to introduce Jalal Fairooz, who was a former MP and has personally suffered from torture and had his citizenship removed by the dictatorship, which was in Bahrain, which was supported by the Saudis. Jalal.
As I was coming to join this rally, this picture was posted on the Twitter just half an hour ago. Another Yemeni child have been brought out of rebels because his house was bombed just an hour ago. Don't these Tories there in front of us know what's going on in Yemen? Who is responsible for all these kids who are losing the souls? Why are they have the right to ask, why are they bombed by bombs being made by British people? Isn't that a shame? Isn't that a shame?
Shame!
Why are they bombed by warplanes which are made by the British people? Isn't that a shame? Isn't that a shame? Wouldn't these Tories see and feel how the Yemeni people do feel? I can claim that partially, not wholly, partially I can feel, because I was back home in Bahrain 8 years ago when the same regimes, tyrannies of Al Saud, Al Nahyan, Al Saud and UAE troops moved into Bahrain and started firing on the protest, the peaceful protest of the people who just wanted dignity, just wanted democracy, and lots of people were killed. And they started helping the regime of Bahrain to crack down the peaceful protest in Bahrain. And I had some of my close friends being taken at that time in jail. It was actually in March 2011. They were taken in custody, and imagine, after 2 days their families were called to take their corpse, to take their bodies. They were killed under torture, under the instruction of the Saudis and Emiratis. Exactly today, the Emiratis are enjoying the oil of the southern Yemen. They are enjoying all the natural resources. They are stealing the natural resources of the Yemeni people in southern Yemen. And the Saudis also are enjoying the east of Yemen, all the wealth. Imagine the Saudis have a treaty with Al-Qaeda, with the terrorists of Al-Qaeda in Makalla and in eastern Yemen, just to be in one side against the Yemeni people. Wouldn't the Tories in the buildings in front of us and around us see that today, only today, millions of Yemenis were in the street? You've seen in the picture. Unfortunately, you wouldn't see that on BBC, no. You wouldn't see on Sky News, no. But you can go to the social network and see all these huge amount of people in the streets, and with that you could hear the sounds of the UK British made warplanes on their heads. That's the situation in Yemen. Until when should we stop to call to end this war? This is not acceptable in any culture. Why should the British people accept this shame? will the history forget that the British people, the British government was part of this bloodshed in Yemen? And yesterday, one of the lords in House of Lords said that she questioned Theresa May's government. Why do we have some British soldiers on ground in Yemen, and some of them were injured? Is that acceptable to the British people?
No.
Is that acceptable to the British people?
No.
I know that there are hundreds of thousands, probably millions of British people who condemn this coalition between the UK government and the Saudi-led war, which is bringing just shame to the whole humanity. Why would only 20% of the schools be operating in Yemen? 80% of the schools, around 28,000 schools, have been either bombarded or corrupted because of the war. So I believe that this will all be recorded by the historians in Yemen, and the day soon will come. The Yemenis who have not kneeled to this aggression for 4 years, they will not kneel to the aggression. They will be struggling against this aggression, and they will regain their freedom and their dignity against this aggression. And then UK will suffer, because the people of Yemen will not be dealing with UK, because unless, of course, the government changes and very sincere people come to the government. I like to end that we people in the Gulf area, in Yemen, know that British people don't agree with their government, whatever it is doing in supporting the Saudis and Emiratis. And I know that more and more people are getting attention to this, and sooner or later everyone will stand against this aggression. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jalal. Hands off Yemen. Stop the bombing now.
Hands off Yemen. Stop the bombings now.